welcome back, quite literally, because if you've subscribed to me, you would have known that for the last 7 odd months I haven't been doing many videos, minus the ST Starship updates, but that's because they were quick and easy to film, and I've been quite strapped for time recently due to other obligations. But now I'm happy to be back reviewing. So I'm going to try and get in a few more reviews as often as I can. And I thought I'd start with this vintage 1974 Mego Kirk action figure, as you can see here. However, you might remember a year ago, once again if you subscribed to me. By the way, thanks if you have, I really appreciate it. I showed you a video of this as I came back from the shop saying expect a video soon. However, I did something extremely stupid with it, which was I tried to iron his shirt, and of course it melted. It didn't occur to me that he was 41 years old and that it would probably melt under the heat. So yeah, I was very upset with myself. So actually it was a few days after Leonard Nimoy passed, I'd went into the shop again just to have a look, see what was what, and I saw that he had a Type 1 Kirk, which is what this is, wearing that shirt. So I bought it, gave the nice shirt to my Type 2, and I gave this one the ripped one. I mean, I suppose I could just put it on my shelf like this, fighter pose, you know, drop kick, classic Kirk. But anyway, moving on from that, I'll talk more about the Type 1 and Type 2 bodies later on. Here we have Captain Kirk in all of his glory. Now, if I start off with the head sculpt, I personally think it's a very nice. Can I actually zoom in? No. I think I'll just bring the figure a bit closer due to the odd angle. Considering that it's 41 years old, this really is nice. I mean, they've got his sideburns down, his hair, the way it would kind of go back, and you can see it curl there. It looks very nice, actually, I have to be honest. He's got that kind of smug grin that he has, which of course looks very, very nice there. Once again, there you go. It's nice when I put my hand behind it. There's a bit of a mistake here. If you look, technically it's his right eye, but for you, his left eye. There's a bit of white paint under it there, which is meant to represent, obviously, his eye. And it's not added on the other side, and it can be a bit annoying, because when I look at this version, his eyes don't have that problem, but I find this head is just better, as this one has all kind of chips and stuff in the hair. So I don't mind the fact that the eye is kind of weird. Moving on to his uniform, as you can see here, it's very similar yellow. So they found a nice looking yellow to match, as you can see. He's got his badge, of course, which I actually removed and re-glued because it was really obscure, similar to this one actually. As you can see, it goes off diagonally. And what I did was I tested on the back of this figure. I dropped a bit of super glue on it just to see what would happen, and it just hardened up. It didn't burn through or anything. So I then super glued it. Well, I had to carefully peel it off first. Then I super glued it on. So that was all good. His collar is made out of a very nice material, almost like a suede, to give it a different feel, look and texture compared to this. As if you look at this, it's of course got those stitching lines going down it, which looks very nice. He has his bands. I'm not sure what they're actually called in the show, but these would obviously represent, not recommend. I said recommend wrong again anyway. Oh well. These would represent your rank. So I think 1 would be ensign, 2 as in like 1 set, not as in like a full set like this, but as in dots would represent ensign. I think if you have 1 full band and then 1 pair of dots, it's a first officer or medical. I don't know, I really don't. But anyway, moving on. His trousers, as you can see here, are very nice actually. I do like these because they look very similar, and it focuses in. they look very similar to the ones that were actually worn on the show by all the characters. They had a very distinct looking material, in my opinion. They were kind of shiny like, and these replicated very well. You've got a nice stitch line going up there. There, of course, they stop here. It looks like they're folded over, almost like they're wearing 3/4, but that's what they wore in the show, so I'm very happy that they have them here as well. It looks very nice, as you can see. Oh, by the way, if I turn it around, you can see where the button is that hooks his shirt together. And if I just very carefully pry it open, there you go. You can read there. Oops. Focus. There you go. 1974. Mego Corporation. Made in Hong Kong. And he, of course, has a similar stuff written on the back of his neck. So yeah, it's very nice. That's one of your ways to check if it's an official Mego. Similar with the clothes. If you look on this side, there should be a tag there. You can see where the tag used to be. What I can, I'm not sure if you can. And it would have had Mego written there, but sadly it fell off. Well, I did keep it. As you can see, that is what it should look like. Excuse my disgusting thumbs, I don't know what's happened to them. So yeah, if that's there, then that's how you can tell that a jumper is also an official Mego. And there's no way to check for the trousers. Oh, that's a shame. He, of course, has his muscular Kirk style body before it, well, got like my body, I suppose. But regardless, I love Kirk always, no matter what his size is. Weight, that is, weight, size. Moving on, here he has his belt, which I will take off just to show you. And I'm just laying down. It hooks in with this kind of arrow, and what you do is you put it in diagonally, so like that, diagonally into the box. You've probably seen this done on other reviews, and then you turn it and there you go, it kind of hooks in place. But I thought I'd show you anyway. Starting off with the smaller of his accessories, you have a communicator, which isn't in the best of shape. As you can see, it's a bit, if I can balance it in my hand so I can focus in on it. No, I'll just have to do this. As you can see, it's not in the best of shape. It's got like a kind of marks and stuff on it where it looks like, I don't know, it might have been chewed. I hope it wasn't swallowed anyway. And as you can see here, along the top of it, if it focuses in, it's got like what looks to be hinges, as you can see, just behind my thumb, or finger, sorry. I can't actually point to them because I'll end up covering them. And then on the bottom you don't have that, so it's nice that it's not just a flat out piece with no detail. It would have been cool if there had dots along here to represent, you know, the flip part of the communicator, but what are you going to do? Putting it in Kirk's hand, obviously his left one, because that's what you'd always use. Flick it open with his right, but oh god. You didn't see that, but I put it in his hand, and his hand actually flicked it out, probably because his hand is kind of tight. As you can see, there you go. So it's not a bad accessory really. There he is, and if I can actually manage to move his hand into position. Oh no, his hand doesn't reach, but of course, you know, he'd have it like this and he'd be doing this twisting something. But oh well. This is a very small accessory as well. I'd highly recommend you keep it on this. Maybe even put a bit of blue tack in the back just to secure it on if you want the extra protection, I suppose. Now, the bigger of his accessories is the Type 2 phaser, which looks very nice, as you can see here. It's got a fair bit of detail to it, and once again, it looks like it's been chewed and burned. I don't know. And by the way, there's no way to check if the belt, the phaser, this, and the trousers are original Megos, because they don't have any tags on them. Because I know some companies, when they remake these kind of things, similar to the Batman things I've seen with the utility belts and the gloves, it'll have a DM logo on it, if I'm not mistaken, which stands for Dr. Mego. So that's how you can tell they're not original. But these, I'm not sure if the remakes have anything else on them. So yeah, moving on. It's not in the best of shape, but you've of course got your thing here which you can turn, which on the Diamond Select model would select the overload feature. this here would stick out a bit from the actual phaser, which you'd pull to take off the Type 2. You've got your targeting sensor there, your button there, what you'd use to fire it if you took it off and just used the Type 2. Here would be what you would control the light with to turn it on or off on the diamond select phaser. This thing you would twist to adjust the beam intensity, and of course here you have the handle. And if you're wondering what this is, well, this basically is what holds it in place, as you can see here. However, it doesn't hold it in place that well because part of it is missing. I assume this was played with and probably eaten, so you know, I gave it a nice wash with Fairy when I get home, or when I got home I should say, because I was a bit skeptical looking at the condition of it. He holds it very nicely. There we go. Well, not very nicely, I mean, compared to what figures do now, but what are you going to do? It's good enough for me. Speaking of holding things in hands, if I look at his hands, you can make out that some of his... Can you make it out? Can you? There you go, roughly between his middle fingers, as you can see there. There's a gap forming, which has probably happened over time, as from what I can tell, the hands are meant to be sealed. As you can see there. More gaps forming. But yeah, I don't mind, it's nothing major. Speaking of which, I'll just quickly tell you the difference between these Type 2s and the Type 1s. Now the most noticeable difference is definitely the fact that the wrists have these rivet things, as you can see, which I don't like. I find them extremely annoying. They don't look nice either. Also, the elbow joint, when you bend it, it's just a right angle. That is literally a 90-degree right angle, that is. But when you bend this one, it actually has a nice smoothed out shoulder look. So I don't like the squareness of this. It's just extremely irritating. Your ball joint in the I've got articulation as well, but the ball joint in the torso is just ridiculously loose, because if I actually pull it a bit, you can see that it's held together with rope minus the 2 threads of elastic that go diagonally through the Type 2. So yeah, and just look at his legs. I'm gonna have to take his trousers down a bit just to show you this, because I find the legs to be the most displeasing factor of the Type 1, especially on Star Trek ones. Sorry Kirk, it's not the first time you've had to take them down anyway. So as you can see, they're just so round that they show through the actual trousers, and look at that, it's so easy for them to just fall apart, these ones. So yeah, that's extremely annoying as well. Now I have to pull his trousers back up, which is also a pain because they have elasticated trousers. There we go. Oh, I'm not going to put them up all the way, I'm not bothered. I'll do it after the review. And also, the shoes are terrible on the Type 1s, I thought, because look at this. They would practically fall apart. Why were they hollow? I can feel them bending in my fingers because they're hollow. And just like the way they connected, once again, when you bend it, look at this. Right angle. Not very realistic looking at all. I mean, I can understand the fact that it's a 40-odd-year-old figure, but even still, it was apparent they knew what a human body looked like when they released this, so this was probably just, I don't know. On the plus side though, their hands are better detailed, I have to be honest. As you can see, they have more wrinkle effects and everything in the hands, which these ones don't have. Here's articulation. Here's a 360 in the head. His head's also one of those squishy ones, as you can see there. So you can actually make him look like what he did later on in the films by just squashing his head back. His arms can come out about that far, but they'll come back down. And I wouldn't recommend you try and do it too far either, due to their articulation, how it's done. His arm can go forward that much, go back that much. Actually, you know what? He can go all the way up. Actually, I don't know what I'm saying. Of course, but as you can hear that, I don't know if you can, but yeah, I try to avoid putting his arms up that high. A nice bend, a very nice bend actually. It's only one bend, not a double joint, but it's better than most single joints you get nowadays. He has a swivel in his wrist. and a hinge, which is very nice. A very good torso joint here, which is a ball joint, which works very nicely. He has good movement in the legs, as you can see there. That is the extent of movement he has in his legs, which is very good. He has a bend in the knee, which of course looks very realistic as well. As you can see, this is how they changed the joints for the boots, and the boots are solid, which is much better than what we had before. And if you watch Robot Chicken, you can really see why they would actually use these figures over all the kinds of figures, because A, they look really nice, and B, with their articulation, you can get them to do anything. I can have Kirk meditating. So that's very cool. Hey, this has been quite a long one actually, now that I look at the time, but you know, obviously camera rust, I suppose I can blame it on. I've been gone for 7 months. I miss you all. How is everyone anyway? New subscribers, old subscribers, or just people that are watching. How you been? Good, I hope. I've been very busy, but as long as you've been good, then I'm happy. Putting that back there. There he is. Something like this I'm not going to give a rating, because of course it's a timeless piece. It's a piece of history in my opinion. So yeah, stuff like this I'm not going to give a rating. But just to give you a basic size comparison, I brought down my Biff Bang Pow 4th Doctor. So there you go. Kirk and the Doctor are in perfect scale, which is why I think Mego was so successful. Because they did. DC and Marvel, the first and only company to ever produce toys. Well, you know, from the same line, I should say. Not, because I mean, Hasbro have done a Batman. I suppose, I think they have anyway. And they've done Marvel, obviously, so. But they were the first one to release them together, as in sets. So you got kind of the Batman fighting Lizard from Spider-Man. So that's why I think they were so good as well, because they're all in scale. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review, guys. Sorry it was a long one. Sorry I've been gone for so long as well. And just take care.